do. Cool. We are live. Awesome. All right. So my name is Brian Johnson, and this is the what I'm going to talk about is building your own Amazon ads offensive playbook, not offensive, but offensive playbook. This is where you go on the attack. And yes, I will have a sister webinar that talks about the defense side of ads, but this is the one where you're actually on the attack. So hopefully this is you'll get something out of this one. This is what we're going to be talking about today. So I want you to learn. I want you to come out of this with the ability to have your own kind of guidebook as far as the what's working right now in 2022, what you're going to put in place for Q4, what we're at Canopy, what we're putting in place for our partners in order to succeed, in order to win their product niche in 2022. And I'm okay sharing this kind of information because I know that the Amazon is so massive, so huge, that it's very unlikely that you are playing in the same backyard as we're playing with each of our clients. Now, if you are, I'm sorry to hear that. But we're good at what we do, and so if that happens to be the case, then I am sorry. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to build a playbook that can reverse this flat or declining sales trend that you've seen over the last 6 months, maybe even now the last 12 months. It's gotten kind of ridiculous. I want to especially have you drive more sales for Q4, and I want you to do it with a higher profitability, which means, could mean lower ACoS, but ultimately I want things like higher conversion rates, higher profitability, more money in your pocket. You've got to position yourself so that you are coming out of Q4 the winner against your competitors, not by sales volume, but how much you're actually putting in your pocket so that you can fund Q1, Q2, Q3 of 2023. Okay, fair enough. And then, of course, I want you to, this is a competitive game. I love the competition. I want you to be able to also steal market share from your biggest competitors. I don't have a problem saying like steal market share from a competitor because I know that I put in the effort, and I'm assuming you did too, to bring to market a product that is better than what they have. You actually are listening to your target audience, hearing their pain points. You're actually bringing to market a product that solves that. Okay. If you are that type of person, I'm glad you're here. You're my kind of people. So I have no problem teaching you how to steal market share from your competitors who are weaker because they didn't do what is necessary to actually listen to their target audience, right? They didn't bring the passion like you did. Now, here's one of the things that we don't normally do, but I'm going to throw in here this time, okay? I'm going to make available a free 30-minute strategy session with me live, one-on-one, where you and I go through and we dissect whatever your biggest challenge is with your Amazon business. And I'm going to help you move that forward as much as we can cover in that 30-40 minutes, but I'm going to give each of you a chance here. I'm going to do a poll at the end here after I get through all the education. And I'm going to give each of you who are there at the end and who respond to that poll a chance to win that free 30-minute strategy session with me. So hopefully you know what the value of that is. If not, you're about to when I get in and talk about who I am and why you should even care. But who is this guy? Who's the bald guy here in front of you? So my name is Brian Johnson. I am a 14-year veteran in e-commerce, not in the military, in e-commerce. And I am the co-founder of a number of companies focused on helping Amazon brands succeed. I've been doing this I've been in the Amazon space for 7.5 years. Before that, I was in the eBay space. I am proud of some of the first software came on the market for Amazon advertising. The first professional, 4-week training course for teaching Amazon advertising and marketing, and of course our flagship, which is the Canopy Management advertising and marketing agency for brands, and we very proud of that because we are now over, I want to say 105 employees, and it's not about the employees, it's about the results that we deliver. So what does that mean? So I will say is that in my career in the Amazon space alone, I've helped over 20,000 brands grow over $1 billion on Amazon. So I hope that my experience will translate here for you today and allows you to run away with some things that's like, cool, let me put this in place. Now, as far as the company that I work for, as far as Canopy Management that I help co-found, this is the kind of track record we have across all of our clients. We have, I think, over, I don't know, 180 clients now. And we're not the largest, but at the same time, we pride ourselves on our company culture and our ability to deliver consistent performance to each of our clients, including things like an 84% average year-over-year profit growth. Now, that's average across all of our clients. You're going to have some that are going to be lower, some that are going to be higher, but we average an 84% year-over-year increase in profit growth. A 63% year-over-year organic sales growth, overall sales, right? 105% in the advertising side of sales and profitability growth. And then for our conversion rate improvements, 38% in conversion rate. Now, here's kind of a sidebar here I'll tell you is that Canopy Management, I like to say that we've got three superpowers. One is Amazon native PPC advertising, sponsor product, sponsor brand, sponsor display, right? Superpower, we kill it in this area for our clients, okay? The second one is Amazon DSP or demand side platform. These are the on and off Amazon display advertising, typically what you would know as the ads that follow people around to try to get them to come back or to repurchase. Those are typically the Amazon DSP. It's kind of like your enterprise advertising platform. We are fully authorized as an Amazon partner in order to run DSP ads on behalf of our client. We also do that really well. And then our third one, which we crush it at, is I'll call it listing optimization, right? Or SEO, but that's kind of understating what we're able to do because we do look at some things that you should be looking at yourself. And that is, what have I done lately to improve my product listings, to increase the conversion rate, to increase the attractiveness or the attention. In other words, how many of the shoppers that are searching in your product niche are actually seeing your product in the first place, right? Next, how many are actually engaging with your listing, actually coming to your product display page in order to see what you have to offer? And then what is your product display page actually doing in order to convince that shopper that these are the top benefits that you absolutely need? We're going to solve it for you. There's no doubt. Go ahead and just buy our product. That kind of a close so you can increase conversion rate. We have a team that works on that. And that comes with copywriting and market analysis, niche analysis, photography, you name it, video. And again, we average over 38% increase in conversion rate, which can be massive when it comes to how much more advertising you can afford to do and generally how much money you walk away at the end of the year, okay? So do stick around to the end so that you can get to the 30-minute session with me. And I definitely suggest, here's my pitch, is to reach out to Canopy and have a conversation with them to see whether or not Canopy would be a good fit for your brand. Now, getting into the meat of this. So what I was talking about here, as far as these kind of results, these are the same kind of results that I'm using the same kind of strategies that I'm teaching today with our clients in order to get these kind of results. So my question to you, of course, is what would that actually mean to you if you had these kind of results? And that's my expectation, right? All right. First and foremost, kind of a high level of what I'm covering today. I look at three phases as far as building your offensive ad playbook. I want you to first double your visibility. I want you to multiply your sales velocity. I'll get into why in a minute. And then, of course, I want you to steal market share from your competitors. If that is also what you're looking for, stick around. If not, see you. All right. So let's start out with double your visibility, right? This is kind of where I see doubling your visibility is where I see most sellers make mistakes when it comes to simply just not having enough information, not having enough experience, not being hands-on with this kind of stuff every single day. They're unaware that there are over 30 different ad placements on Amazon today. Most can, count like maybe 6 to 10 at best, right? But there's over 30 different, it's our job to know what that is. It's not necessarily a typical brand owner to know, but if they're up against a competitor who does know that kind of information or is working with an agency at our caliber, then of course they probably are exploiting that. I want you to learn what some of those are that you can exploit today. Okay. Second part is just going through it and understanding how to properly vet the search terms, how to actually analyze what are the strengths and weaknesses of your competitors, where you can identify search terms that your product can actually rank for, if there's put some juice behind it, some pressure, right? So that when you're creating your keyword ranking ad campaigns solely for the purpose of ranking, right? I'll get into that a little bit later. Then you're actually targeting the right terms that are actually going to move the needle, actually going to move your product up the search results, so you get a higher organic search rank for your product on keywords that you actually have the ability to. There's a limited amount of competition, you've got a higher conversion rate for, is directly relevant to your product, those kinds of things, right? And then the one of the ones I'm going to teach here, I will give you a snapshot moment here to do a screenshot. And that is, did you know, I'm kind of curious, actually, if you want to open your chat again here, tell me, did you know that you can separate your parent-child relationships? In other words, you can take your child variations, you can separate them so they're their own standalone, call the parent, but their own standalone listings. And Amazon will actually allow you to show those both in organic search results and in ads multiple times on the same page. I know you've seen it, but did you know how that's actually accomplished? I'm going to walk you through how to do that. All right. Let me start out with I'm going to give you a couple of examples just so you kind of know where, some things that we've actually done at Canopy. So an example is we work with Balder. Balder does some fantastic electronics. If you should definitely check out the brand, but we're certainly proud we've had a chance to work with them for years now. But when we first started with them, it was pretty obvious that their ad spend was out of control, which is not a common scenario. Their campaigns were poorly structured, including their match types, also very common. And they were having trouble organizing hundreds of SKUs. We've worked with brands that have just a few to a few thousand SKUs. And I can tell you, organization becomes a really big deal the bigger you get. Now, one of the things that we were able to do by implementing some of the strategies I'll be teaching you today is with Balder specifically, is we were able to decrease their ACoS so that they're more profitable overall, and profitable by 16% in this case, right? So that was 16%, which is below what our average is, right? So this is actually kind of, you would have thought I would have come in with something that says, oh yeah, we've got 5,000%. No, I just want to be real with you here. But we did blow up their sales because that was their directive. They said, you know what, we just need to blow up sales because we want an exit at some point. We want to, have a really shiny brand with a lot of sales. So we increased their sales by over 140%. That was just in the first year. We've worked with them for a couple of years now. So in what we did as far as doubling their visibility is we did the same two things here, right, that we see, and that is running atypical ad types or non-standard or non-traditional, right? Maybe not intuitive ad types, and I'll show you what those are. And then also showing concurrent products, which I teased you with a screenshot coming up soon. So let's start out with running the atypical or the non-standard kind of ad types. I will say is that a standard sponsored product automatic campaign and sponsored product keyword campaign are by far the most that are utilized by most sellers on Amazon. The reason for this is because it's mostly accessible because it doesn't require brand registry. But that also tells you, it's a clue to you, is that if that is what's producing the most sales, it's because it's the most accessible, which means all of your competition is running those, which means that's where the competition is. In other words, the CPCs, the cost per clicks, are going to be fierce, right? So how do you work around that, especially when people are going crazy this year saying like, oh, I need to increase my ad spend and my cost per click, my bidding to make up for sales that dropped down this year because changing consumer behavior and weather shifts and, sunspots, I don't know. But the reaction that we've seen this year, and I covered this in a previous State of the Union address for Amazon, and that was that the shift in culture, buyer behavior, environment, politics, weather, you name it, pandemic, of course, caused shoppers to purchase less, right? They were coming out to Amazon less. They purchased less, therefore, but the sellers respond a lot like panic in a stock market. And their natural reaction is, well, I'm going to pull this one lever that I know I'm going to increase my ad spend because that will solve the problem. And lo and behold, it doesn't, right? Unless they've already dialed in a lot of the things that I'm talking about today, right? So what I want you to understand on this is there's two set types of ads that are going to go around, kind of like do a flank maneuver. If I follow with my whole football analogy that I'll do today, do a flank maneuver around your competition. First one I'd recommend that we're putting in place ourselves is to run sponsored brand video ads. One of the things that you already know, of course, is that the video ads by default will come up in the first page of search results. If you are not running that already, you may see that either your competitors in your niche are not running the video ad. That's a huge opportunity for you, by the way, because motion catches the eye of the shopper a lot better than simply just static images, right? And so if you happen to be, if there's search terms that you're going after and there's no video ad coming up, go do that today. You've got to put that in place because that's a huge opportunity to grab the eye of the shopper, which is your first challenge in gaining visibility by the shopper. Is you got to get their attention to actually look at your product in the first place, right? So sponsor brand video ads, by far, you absolutely should be running. Now, I am curious, give me a 5 in the chat if you're currently running sponsor brand video ads for a lot of your target search terms, a lot of your target keywords. Give me some 5s in there. Let's see what kind of portion we got. Okay, got a few of you. All right, well, good. Multiple 5s, I like it. Nice. Yeah, well, Daniel, of course. Yeah, Daniel Fernandez is in the house, so he's one of my peers here who's got a lot of experience as well. So thank you for being here today, Daniel. So the second one on this is going to be to run display product ads. So sponsored display ads, right? This can work with any kind of product targeting ad, but I also recommend more specifically the sponsored display because it's, what did I say before? It's not a sponsored product ad where most of your competition is already sitting, right? They've got access. They can already run sponsored product ads. Well, run sponsored display ads, run sponsored brand ads, go around them. The big misconception on this, and I get this on a regular basis, I had it even this morning where somebody said, you know what, it's weird. It's like, I'm not running, the only ads I'm running are sponsored, are running product targeting ads. And yet my ads are showing up on the first page of search results. Because what they're thinking is that if I run a product targeting ad against a competitor ASIN, that those ads only run on that competitor product detail page, which is not true. Those of us who have been in this game a while know that it not only runs in that target, that competitor's product detail page, which of course you want in order to steal some of their customers away, but it also shows up in the search results when that competitor, when their ASIN also shows up in the first page of search results. So you can bump that up a little bit by increasing top of search placement, but oftentimes you don't even need to. You simply just need to be running the product targeting ads. And I'll break it down for you a little bit further later on as far as like what are some criteria that I use as far as which competitor products that I target, because I definitely don't target all of them. But if you're not running a sponsored brand video ads, come up with something. I don't have a video, Brian. Well, go out to any of the video editing software, create the ugliest 15 to 30-second video that you can possibly come up with. It just says, this screams, here's the benefit of this product, blah, right? And get it running just to start testing it, okay? Please do that today if you don't have it. The display ads, pretty easy. You can run it. You've got access. You've got, if you're brand registered, you've got access to sponsored display ads. Set up some product targeting ads. I'll give you the criteria later on here. This one, no, don't take a picture of this one here, but the next one is showing concurrent products. So you've seen probably in your own niche where you've got a competitor that's like, well, okay, I've got 10 products, they've got 10 products. Why is it that they're showing 5 of their products on my product detail page? And when I run ads on theirs, only one of mine shows up on their product detail page. If you dig into it, what you'll find is that each of those that are running on yours are probably, now they can run in different ad placements, product, brand ads, display ads, right? And so Amazon will show the same, parent product or the same child variation in each one of those. But to get multiple, where you start dominating real estate, on whether it's the organic search results, whether it is on a competitor's product detail page, whether it's on your own product detail page, it is going to require you to have separate standalone products in order for Amazon to say, you know what, I'm not going to just show multiple variations on the same page for the same search results, but I will consider if you have separate product listings. Now, obviously, that begs the question: how many of you how many of you lost me on that one? So, in other words, put a 0 in the chat if you're going like, okay, I need an example. I don't know what you're talking about. And if enough people say 0, then I'll switch screens and show it. But what I'm trying to say on this is that you've got in the on a product detail page, you've got multiple ad placements by yourself, your competitors around your product detail page, right? If you pull up your own product detail page right now, you'll see that there's a bunch of ads around my product, down below my product. And depending on the niche that you're in, how aggressive and how competitive your product niche is, then what you'll see is not simply like, oh, here's an ad from brand A, here's an ad from brand B, brand C, brand D. You'll see in some situations, some niches, right? If you're in a really competitive situation, right? Especially if you're in supplementation, for instance, pets or human, you'll definitely see some very aggressive players. And what they'll have is, you go in, you got your product detail page, and they'll have brand A, brand A, brand A, brand A, brand A. They just have a whole string of their products. You're like going, how the heck did they do that? Well, you got to separate them. So this is a screenshot opportunity for instructions, step by step. This is why I shoved it all into one slide for you here. But the first thing you're going to want to do on this is you've got to identify as far as what your child products are. So your child products are typically variations. Let's say you've got a product and I've got 10 different colors and they're all on the same page, and somebody can come out to one of my products and they can see all the different colors. Cool. But sometimes most common mistake that I see is they come out and say, oh, here's 5 different colors and there's 5 different sizes and there's 3 different quantities and they're all shoved into the same one. That's a huge no-no. You don't need to do that. You definitely want to separate those, especially if you're doing like quantity or different kind of packaging, where that's not really the primary driver of a shopper making a decision as far as like, well, I don't know what color I want. But quantity, you can split that out. So you've got different parent-child relationships where you've got, okay, all the 2 quantity and all the colors, all the 1 quantity and all the colors, all the 5 count, 5-pack, products and all the colors. You end up with 3 different parent product listings. You can separate those out so that all the variations have standalone. So that red is separate, black is separate, blue is separate, pink is separate, right? But it does require the necessity to make sure that the product can stand on its own. In other words, it has enough social proof on that particular variation in order to stand on its own 2 feet. It's got enough social proof. So you can go into your reviews and you can identify as far as which ones, okay, the pink has 2 reviews, 2 5-star reviews. The black one has 45, 5-star reviews, whatever. The one with the 45, the one with 10 or more reviews can probably stand on its own. It can probably be peeled off from the rest of the variations and have its own listing. That own listing is going to be allowed so that now you've got what your standard variations are that show up. Let's say it's your pink is the most popular that shows the ad the most, but now you can actually on the same page, you can have the pink and you've got the black that's now showing, right? So hopefully you see where I'm going with this, is that the more you separate those out for products that have enough social proof that they can stand on their own, and not all of them will, that you can start ending up with owning a lot more real estate. So you are, in fact, losing your advantage of the pooled reviews, but you're gaining, doubling, tripling, quadrupling your visibility of a shopper seeing your brand and selecting one of your products, you're increasing 2, 3, 4-fold the chance of a shopper clicking through to one of your product listings, simply because you've multiplied the visibility by taking over more ad real estate. Okay, does that make sense? You can split the parent-child into separate standalone listings. You can then run separate campaigns. The campaigns is not what dictates whether or not you've got multiple ones showing. But I do recommend is that if you're going to split it off, go ahead and run a separate ad campaign for that specific color or size or pack or whatever that you've now split off onto its own, so that you can kind of measure the ROI that you're getting out of that one, that separation. Is there a risk? Of course, there's a risk. There's always a risk that you won't get as many sales on some of your other colors. But that's kind of, again, where you want to go in. This is where some of the complexities and experience comes into place. So hopefully you get that 30-minute session with me at the end of this call so that we can walk through and I can help you decide, yes, this one can stand on its own. Let's go ahead and get your visibility doubled, okay, by splitting it out. Let's see here. Oh, pro tip. You don't need to bid high on each campaign. You really don't. You don't need to overspend. I overspend when I'm doing keyword ranking campaigns where I have a very specific keyword, maybe in its own ad group, maybe even its own campaign. Not typically what I do. It's completely unnecessary to have all of your keywords into separate ad campaigns. It's a waste of time. But you can separate those so that you've got more control over placement, over budget, over bid control, over bidding strategy. You've got more control in order to push that, in order to continually gain sales velocity on a specific keyword that then is going to help your product rank for that keyword better. Okay, I'll talk about that here in a minute. All right, let's move forward here. Next one is, well, and this is actually what I was just talking about, was increasing your keyword ranking by having, essentially pushing the keyword specific advertising. As I just mentioned, all the rest of your campaigns, you don't need to go aggressive on your bids, right? You can keep them on it, keep it within your ACoS limits so that it's you're getting sales and you're getting sales velocity, but you should not be losing money on your ads. Okay, where you should be losing money, or you can be losing money on your ads, is when you're temporarily trying to rank for a keyword and you're intentionally just shoving as much ad spend into a keyword so that you can see how far up the organic keyword ranks that you can get with your product. I would recommend that's going to be a combination of some other promotional activities. In fact, I even mentioned it in this webinar. I'll even talk about some of the promotional opportunities that I mentioned that you should combine with a keyword targeting ad in order to further accelerate or boost how high you get up as far as that keyword ranking. Okay. All right, next one. All right, let me give a sip of water here. Give me a 2 if you're following along pretty well. Give me a 0 if I've completely lost you, or a 1 if you're somewhere in the middle. Fantastic. We got some smart people in the room. I love that. Cool. All righty. Let's talk about now that where we can multiply your Q4 sales velocity with profitability in mind, right? Because ultimately, you don't win by having 10 times as much sales as as your competitor. You win by having 10 times as much pocket money in profit at the end of Q4. So where do we see, starting out kind of the same format here, where do we see kind of the most mistakes when it comes to trying to drive sales velocity during a peak season? If Q4 happens to be yours, it is for a lot. That's the part of that reason is not specifically because of the product that you're in or the niche that you're in. It's because Amazon spends a huge amount of money advertising, bringing the prime shoppers back to shop on Amazon. And that's one of the reasons why Amazon is bringing in their fall Prime Day. My money is October, what did I say? October 17th and 18th. That's where my money, that's where I'm placing my bet as far as when fall Prime Day is going to be this year. So they haven't announced it, of course, and there's a lot of speculation as far as when it's going to happen, but those are my 2 dates, and I've got a pretty good track record. But what we often see when it comes to increasing sales velocity for fourth quarter, a lot of times that a seller will think that promotions are a little bit too difficult. Usually this is kind of a first year problem. Promotions are too difficult to set up, or maybe they're expensive to run. You run a $10 off coupon. It's like, oh, I can't afford to lose $10 off of each. You don't. I want to tease you with that one for a second. The truth is, of course, is that promotions often increase a product's conversion rate because, and only if, it's different than what your competitors are doing. If everybody's running a $10 coupon, as an example, and you run a $10 coupon, which is aggressive to you, but everybody else is doing it, you don't stand out. That's not going to increase your conversion rate. If everybody else is running a $1 or a 5% coupon and you run a $10 coupon, you're going to be like, whoa, what was that? Like, that's a huge discount. Let me go back and look at that product a second time because they had this massive coupon compared to what everybody else is doing. Right? Same thing kind of goes for things like lightning deals or prime exclusive deals, where there's a badge that stands out. Not everybody's going to have it. It gives your product a chance to have a second look. So don't be afraid to do that, because that is what is going to separate yourself from your competition. That is potentially going to not only increase your visibility, catching the shopper's eye, it's going to increase their engagement as far as clicking through and being more curious about your product listing, and assuming that you've taken the time to go back and really update your product listing to be compelling with 5-second chunks of what's in it for me, what's the benefit that I'm getting out of buying your product, and you're chunking that down so I can absorb, like, yes, I want that. Yes, I want that. Yes, I want that. Yes, I want that. If your shoppers aren't able to do that right now, you've got to rebuild your product listing. You've got to spend some time really focusing on listing optimization using the proper methods. But coupons, as an example in this, like I said, it's got to stand out. But what I teased you with before is coupons are not redeemed one for one. In other words, you could have 10 coupons that are clipped, right? Where people say like, yes, I want that coupon. And yet you would expect, well, if 10 people clip it, then 10 people redeem it, right? Or 10 people, 10 people saw that I had a coupon and purchased my product. But often what happens is about only half of them actually remember to clip and redeem that coupon, because they're pulling multiple things in their basket and they forget to click the button and they just they check out. So they were attracted to your product because you offered this big discount, but half the time they're not even using that discount. So what are the costs go to you? Here's a trick question, right? Here's the cost. If only 50% of the people actually redeem the coupon, what did that $10 coupon cost you on an average per product? It's $5, right? So all of a sudden, you just realize, like, wait, oh, that's half as if, half the cost of what I thought it was going to be. So consider that when you're doing your promotion. But remember, it has to stand out from what your competitors are doing. If everybody's doing the same thing, you're not going to be seen as different. Okay, I will beat that one to death, because that makes the biggest difference for our clients over Canopy, is making sure that we stand out from the competition, making shoppers realize we do have a better product. These are the benefits that we know you're going to get out of this product. Here are the features that support these benefits that we've put into this product for you. Okay. Let's see here. They set up a product listing once, and well, this is the one I've been beaten to death already, right? They set up the product listing once. The first time they created it, maybe they went through a course and they used some template, and at the bottom says add to cart now, right? Some of you know what I'm talking about as far as the description that has the add to cart now at the end. It's a templated format that was used, I'm sure, Daniel, from 5-6 years ago, and I still see it today where people are using. It's like, oh yeah, no, that's the product listing I created 5-6 years ago. I've never updated it, really. And you wonder why you've kept on losing market share. But what I've mentioned here is, optimizing your product listing for attention, attraction, and conversion. Attention, remember, how do I catch their eye in the first place? How do I pop? How do I stand out from the competition? Attraction. What's in it for me? What's the benefit? What's the compelling different feature or benefit that I need to go and take a look at this product listing more? You're only going to be able to do that in your main image and your title. And in your title, it's only going to be in the first 75 characters because half of your audience is on mobile, and that's only going to show you about 75 to 80 characters. So you got to have it in the front of your title. What's in it for me? That they quickly go like, oh, that's different than what everybody else is doing. Let me take a closer look at this. And then, of course, conversion. That's where I was talking about your secondary images, your bullet points, especially those two sections. I would say for mobile, yes, the A+ content. Each piece of information, each secondary image, each bullet point, each paragraph or image that is inside of your A+ content needs to be understood within 5 seconds. As a shopper, what's in it for me, right? If you heard the acronym with them, yeah, what's in it for me? So that's the kind of compelling thing that people just don't have the patience. You know, they've gotten trained by TikTok and reels and shorts and everything, as far as like, oh, I just want to go on to the next thing. Attention deficit, right? You're not going to get them to read some long story and to decide on their own, like, how can I use this product? Don't put that on them. Put it on you to just tell them right up front, here's what you're going to get out of this. Okay. All right. This is something we actually did as far as these strategies here, as far as increasing sales velocity. We actually did this with Karenique. Some of you probably are familiar with Karenique. They've done a phenomenal business on Amazon as far as women's shampoos. These are primarily for like dry hair and hair loss and some of these kind of products, right? So they've made a killing on Amazon. We've helped them to continue to grow there because originally they were giving away sales to third party. In other words, they were an outside brand. They were selling to brick and mortar. They were selling across other channels, and they were using resellers and distributors and that kind of stuff on Amazon. Well, we helped them to take control back. That made a huge, huge difference as far as the amount of profitability and sales, because frankly, you get some third-party reseller, affiliate, wholesaler, and they have no clue what they're doing on Amazon 90% of the time. That's to address the 10% of you are on who are doing that well, who are here. But they had stagnant sales. In other words, there was kind of like flat sales. They weren't really growing or whatever. And yet their advertising costs would continue to go up also. This primarily is because of poor campaign structure. They weren't getting the visibility they need. So we had to go back in. We were able to help them decrease some of their bloated ad spend because they weren't, you recall earlier, I mentioned as far as like making sure that you're running ads that are different than what your competitors are doing. Updating your product listing so that your product looks different than what your competitors are doing. Running promotions that are different than what your competitors are doing. Hopefully, you're seeing a pattern here, but we were able to blow up their sales with a 650% increase. That one actually, usually we talk about year over year. That one actually we did in under 6 months, and so that was just a phenomenal result on that one. We party often about that one. But primarily what we were doing as far as increasing the sales velocity so that we're ready in order to increase our Q4 sales and ultimately market share, which I'll talk about next, is we want to take the listing from retail ready to grab you by the nose kind of ready, right? That's what I was talking about. And so I'm not going to berate this. It's that 5-second rule, right? If you haven't seen my other webinars, then hopefully then you get that 30-minute meeting, that 30-minute session with me that I'll be giving away at the end of the session, end of today. And I can walk you through exactly what you need to change. And it's obvious to me. It may not be so obvious to you. That's pretty typical. It's the whole forest for the trees. It's not because I'm special. It's just because I do it every single day. So I'm practiced. We'll say that. But you also want to make sure that certainly in Q4, you've got a second Prime Day coming up. You've got Black Friday to Cyber Monday. These are going to be 2 opportunities for you to run things like Prime exclusive deals, lightning deals, coupons that are what? Differentiated, stand out from what your competition is doing. You don't need to run them year round. You just need to run them for very short periods of time. Ideally, in the few days leading up to Prime Day, in the few days that are leading up to Black Friday, the Sunday right before Cyber Monday and Surprise Tuesday. For those of you who've been around, know that Tuesday is pretty hopping as well. And then anytime you need a spike, you can run a temporary, coupon for a week, for a month, whatever the case is, that drives attention and sales velocity to your product. Okay. It also helps if you are applying those coupons to, or lightning deals to, products that already have an above average conversion rate. How do you solve the conversion rate? Well, of course, that's part of the whole listing optimization I was talking about. The grab your nose kind of listings that just says like, here's what's in it for you. Here's the features that support that. You need this product, just check out. Okay. All right. A little water here. How we doing? Is everybody keeping up here? I see the rooms continue to grow since we started, so that's awesome. Give me a 0 if I should slow down. You're like, no, 5. Well, Adam, Ollie, I hopefully you get the 30-minute session, so I can break it down in more specific, applicable terms to your specific brand in that session. So again, we'll do that here at the end. All right. So when it comes to this offensive playbook, right, to increase sales, increase profitability, increase visibility, it kind of comes down to if you optimize your listing, but no one sees them, or if you increase your visibility, but your conversion rate is low, well, obviously neither of those will work. So we want to move on to the next stage here, phase 3, which is to steal market share from competitors. Open up that chat. Give me a 5 if you want to steal market share from your competitors, if you feel like there's room for you to grow within your niche. Yes, I love it. Yes, that is awesome. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. All right. So here is when it comes to stealing market share. I gotta turn down the AC in here. Whew. Working up a sweat. Here's where most people get it wrong when it comes to stealing market share. So they run ads. Okay, now granted, it's because I've taught this in the past, right? They simply just run ads against weak competitors, right? And with poor price parity, with poor rating parity, right? But what I want you to do, this is kind of a mix of mistakes and what I want you to be doing here, is I want you to now add on, not simply just like, oh, they've got poor, they're really expensive or they're really cheap or they don't have a good rating. It's like, okay, Amazon provides those as options in your ad targeting now, or they have been for a while. And so that's pretty easy, right? But there's some additional analysis you can do that if you take the time that your competitors aren't doing, you can look for, if you're paying attention to your competitors, maybe you've got software that's keeping track of stock levels of your competitors. But some analysis that you can do also is paying attention to whether or not your competitors are running out of stock. They're getting low on stock. They're running out of stock. Maybe they're shipping themselves from their own 3PL warehouse, and maybe the shipping isn't Prime eligible. Those are a couple of great things to add on that you have to kind of manually observe, and then you exploit, and it's usually for a temporary amount of time. You can exploit that because you then have not only your own product's competitive advantage, which should be, I'll say that next in this sentence, the benefit, of course, in the title, but you've got a temporary advantage on top of that of saying, you know what, somebody doesn't want slow ship. Somebody doesn't, they want a product now. They're not going to wait until it's back in stock, 10 days from now. Take advantage of those opportunities, because some of your top competitors that have the fastest sales velocity, they can run out of stock, especially this past couple of years when logistics has become more of a problem. Okay. Now, what are we doing on time? Okay, we're running longer than I was hoping to, but let me keep moving fast here, and then we'll get this all wrapped up. We'll get to that 30-minute session for that lucky person who responds. But I do want to make sure that you are taking advantage of where you are looking at your competitors. Look at your competitor titles, cut them all off so that they're showing just the first 75 characters, however you want to do that. And look to see, is your product the only one in the title that now has a compelling benefit in 2 or 3 words? I know that's a tough ask, but it can be done. And I can help you with that. In the first 75 characters of the title, a compelling benefit, 2 or 3 words that catches the attention of the shopper, that pops to the shopper that says, I want that, right? Give them something, a reason to say, I want that. I'm going to click through because I want to even learn more about this product. And most likely what you're going to see is 9 out of your next 10 competitors are just stuffing their title with search keywords, which I don't have a problem having a search keyword in their first 75 characters, but you had better have some new language, some new words that are describing your compelling benefit, your number one benefit, that actually hooks that shopper, that gets their attention. And you can run ads against all of your competitors, product targeting ads against all of your competitors who don't have any kind of compelling statement, compelling benefit words in their title. Because if a shopper is on the fence and they're not sure that that competitor product is what they want, they look around, they see ads, they see other search results for other competitors, and they look at yours and you're like going, it's like, oh, I want that. They click through, right? Give yourself a chance. If you got that combination of that benefit succinctly stated in your first 75 characters, and you've got your competitors who are not doing that, take advantage of that gap, okay? It is huge. It's what we use to exploit for our clients in order to gain a competitive market share, right? 75 characters is primarily mobile truncation. That's Daniel, I think you already know this question, but I'm glad you begged the question. 75 to 80 characters is typically what you're going to see in the Amazon mobile app. Half your audience is on mobile, right? And so what you'll see is that your full title is not going to show. And oftentimes it's going to cut off about 75 to 80 characters, right? If somebody's scanning through a list of products, and the only thing they have is the first 75 characters of each of those, as they're just thumbing through, you better make sure that your title has something in that first 75 characters that is going to make them stop, catch their eye, pause, and go, ooh, I want that. Okay. And I'm guessing that 99% of you who are on today can't say that right now. You look at it, you're going, yeah, I don't know how compelling that is. So you want to get there. The second part of this, of course, and again, this is about, highlighting where your product, because a lot of the brand manufacturers that I speak with, they've had too many conversations with manufacturers. They know all the specs. They know exactly what the 301 stainless steel does and doesn't do, within their product, and what plastic form F75 does for the product against sunshade and fire resistance. A shopper doesn't know that. At the end consumer, your target audience doesn't know what any of that crap is, right? They're only going to, when you say fire resistant, won't fade in the sun, these kind of terminology, you can take advantage. Sometimes simply just looking at your competitors' negative reviews, and there's software that's available to do that. Hit me up afterwards. I'm glad to share you what I use. I've shown it in other webinars also, but you can use software to bulk analyze all of your competitors and get a sentiment. And I'm not talking about Helium-10 because frankly, Helium-10's review analysis sucks. Okay. I don't even touch it. I don't even recommend it. And I hope that Helium-10 is on here somewhere where they go like, oh, maybe we should go take a look at that and they improve it. Because I actually do like a lot of things about Helium-10. But that's not one. But anyway, looking at what is some of the negative words that are being used in some of the negative reviews, negative sentiment that is being used on a lot of my competitors that I can exploit. It's like, well, I don't have that problem. You better be shouting it from the hills that you don't have that problem by saying like yours is better because, or yours has this feature, which people understand is not what all the complaints are from their competitors, right? So you really want to be looking at not only what people are using, what the consumers, what the buyers are stating in the reviews. You can also do this to social media, but in the reviews, what do they like and what language do they use to describe what they like? Are you using that in your product listing? to also describe what they like about your product? Are you avoiding or somehow, skirting around anything negative problems by using some other terminology that, like, oh, I don't have that problem. The competitors, I'm not actually stating I don't have this problem, my competitors do. I'm stating what is the positive benefit to the shopper that clearly kind of negates the negative reviews that shoppers have with other product, with my competitors. Okay. All right. We do this with a company called Bag Nation. If you, I've got one of their bags too when I'm traveling. They got some cool stuff as well. Definitely check them out, especially if you do traveling. But in their case, when they came to Canopy, is that they had hyper competitive product category. They had well, I don't have a baby now. I mean, but when I did, I used it. So I should clarify that. But yeah, some of their stuff was kind of more the stylish, like kind of like men's, baby bag, men's diaper bag kind of thing. Think of it that way. They've got a wider range of products, but I'm just saying in this example here, this was where they were having the biggest competition because people are going out and saying, well, I can pay, $20 for a diaper bag. Well, yeah, but it's not, you're not going to get any father who's going to be walking around with a pink floral, diaper bag. Usually not. But they were in that hyper competitive category where they're going against that, everything else that was available, right? The advertising cost was unsustainable, it was huge. And they couldn't rank very well because they're ranking against a lot cheaper kind of generic products that were out there that are just kind of being put out in bulk. So we actually were able to help them over Canopy. We were able to increase their profitability and, of course, lower their advertising costs, right? The nice thing I like about this is how quickly that we went over 127%. I guess it is in the slide, 127% increase in sales in less than 3 months, simply by solving some of the common things that are obvious to us that were not obvious to this brand, right? This is a pretty common thing that occurs. But the main idea on this is you want to be able to infiltrate your competitors' listings, right? So this is part of the whole like running ads, getting placements onto your competitor listings. Like I mentioned before, you want to identify those strengths and weaknesses of your competitor products. Look at the language used in the shopper product reviews, as I mentioned before. Exploit that. Use it in yours. Point out things that they didn't point out. Oftentimes, your biggest advantage against your competitors is they simply failed to point out something that was good about their product, and you're able to point out because you got the same benefit, you got the same feature, you can point that out and shoppers go, ooh, you're the only one that has it. Well, you know better, but the consumer doesn't because your competitors failed, which is very common. Your competitors failed to point out what the strengths of their product was. They simply just use the manufacturing terminology. As I've beaten to death, is in your listing optimization. Of course, you got to highlight your product's differentiators so that your product stands out from the competition, especially if it goes against their negative reviews. And then, of course, you're going to be running ads against those. Now that you've got your title optimized and maybe your listing optimized overall, you're now going to be able to run your ads and have a higher chance of actually converting that seller or that consumer, I should say, when they come over and they preview your product. It's not simply just a lost click where somebody bounces. They click through and they go like, oh wow, this was a good idea. I came over here because this is actually a cool product. Purchase. Boom. Increasing your sales. You just stole that market share, that sale away from a competitor that they paid to get to their listing, and you just stole it away from them. You closed the sale because you actually took the time to listen to the audience, what their pros and cons were about your product lines, your competitors' product lines, and you stated that into your product listing. So you improved that. You went on the attack and you exploited the weaknesses of your competitors in order to properly gain market share against them, because frankly, you've got a better product. Your consumers just need to be able to see it, right? Okay, so in conclusion here, so we went through, before I get into the 30-minute meeting giveaway, 30-minute consult with me, right? Giveaway. I will tell you a little bit about Canopy, and then we'll jump into that. Fair enough? Is that cool with everybody? Thumbs up in chat. But what we covered today is doubling your visibility, right? You definitely want to get increase the attention and the engagement of shoppers. You want to get seen more in more places. And I showed you a couple different ways of doing that, including being as aggressive as splitting apart child products that they can stand on their own. Multiplying your sales velocity as far as being able to use things like more keyword targeted campaigns, being able to use product promotions in the right way so that you stand out from your competition. And of course, then stealing market share from your competitors. Looking at what your target audience is saying about your competitors' products and your own, don't forget your own, and highlight in your product listings, in your title, your main image, each of your images, where you have a compelling benefit, the what's in it for me for that, for the consumer to buy your product when your competitors are failing to do that. It becomes an easy way to increase your conversion rate, and an increased conversion rate gives you the ability to run ads in order to steal that market share away from competitors. Okay. So based off of this training so far, give me a 1 if it sucked. Give me a 5 if you took away a ton. Give me somewhere in the middle. If you got value, please hopefully tell me that you're gonna put something into place. Nice. Fantastic. A couple of you were kind of in the middle there. I get that. I understand. That's one of the reasons why Canopy is in business, because not everybody wants to do this, let alone has the team and the tools and the experience in order to put it all in place. But I definitely get that. I am a geek about this kind of stuff. You don't have to be. So, all right. So, here's what I want you to do. So, well, actually, I'm gonna save this here. I'm gonna do the poll. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Let's do the poll. Can we do this, Nicole? I think we can do this, where we can do the poll now, and then I'll do I'll talk about, I'm trying to think now if the results come in at the end, if I can pull that back up afterwards. Let me do this. Let me go and do the poll right now. So I'm going to launch this poll. So you should see something that pops up on your screen. I'd love to get to everybody's response here. So the question and what you should see, let me know in chat. Oh, they come in right away. Okay, so I'm kind of giving away the farm on this one here. I want to see high participation. All right. If you're gonna get to that, because the only people who are actually going to qualify for the giveaway here are those who actually respond. So I want everybody on this call responding if you want a chance for that 30-minute session. Oh, okay. So yeah, so sorry, my Nicole's here with me. Thank you, Nicole. We were trying something new here, and so I'm glad that you're here to figure this out. So, all right, so Nicole's going to take the list of everybody. Let's see, we got what, 29 results. We got about 10 of you sleeping right now. So maybe you're over in on the opposite side of the world here, or my $1 billion in sales wasn't impressive enough for a 30-minute free consult. Daniel's like, I've already talked to you. I did see there was some Q&A that came in. I'll go ahead and address those after the next section here, because I'll open it up for questions too. It is live. Yes, Zach. Yes, it is. I love it when people ask. Okay, so we are gonna, yeah, you gotta stay on the call now, because we are gonna actually pick the winner and announce it at the end here live. I'm gonna go through a few more slides really fast, and then we'll go ahead and pick that winner. Is that Nicole? That sounds about right. Yeah. Cool. Yes. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So here's what we've got so far. So we have, I'm gonna end the poll here in about 15 seconds here. It was a pretty okay. So which play poses the biggest challenge for your brand? So it looks to me like there's kind of an even split between doubling your visibility and doubling your market share. Your sales velocity is a close second behind those two. It's interesting that it was so balanced. Usually we see where one just is just an outlier, just stands out. Well, I'm glad we covered these three then, because each one of those were tactics that you could take away and actually put into place. That is awesome. All right, so let me go ahead and close this out in the poll, and done. All right, so Nicole, that's for you, and I will go ahead and continue on here. All right, so got that. The lucky winner will be announced after this here. So here's kind of, let me kind of give you some context here as far as like why I'm in the business that I am and why I love doing what I do. Okay. So the biggest challenge that I run into that is hard for a brand developer, and I do develop my own brands. I've got my own brands, my own products that I sell myself. So I understand a lot of the challenges too. But I know that when it comes to going on the offense, being aggressive, it's a lot easier to simply just say like, well, it's easier to pull back and say, well, I'm going to reduce my ad spend. I'm going to go for a smaller advertising ACoS, in order to save money. And when you're going into Q4, that's the exact opposite of what you're going to need if Q4 is your peak season. Okay. Now, if it's not your peak season, yeah, there's definitely some conservative route that you can take on this that I would recommend to streamline where you're at right now during the off season. But if you're going into Q4, you've got two big promotional events that are coming up here soon that you've got to be prepared for. And that's only up to you as far as decide, like, are you ready? Right now, here's what I'll tell you. Right here's my pitch, right? There's no checkout button here. Let's put it that way. So context does matter, right? So results, of course, are going to vary depending on what product category that you're in, the scope of your competition or the level of competition, and how aggressive, how stupid they are. So frankly, sometimes, I know I'm not supposed to use that word around my son, but he's not here. So, and of course, how are you differentiating your product from everybody else? Whether or not there is product differentiation within your niche. You've got a huge opportunity that most brands sit on, and they don't even realize that that is the biggest lever they should be pulling. They're so busy about like, what advertising can I run? How can I reduce my ad spend? It's like you're failing because you're not focused on where it really matters, right? So you do have two options, of course, on this. You can struggle with the guesswork of doing it yourself, or you can spend less time, less effort, and get better results working with professionals. Here's what I'm going to offer you, and I'm not going to charge for this, okay? I am going to offer what we do for our clients, and that is we build a business growth roadmap. Now, a business growth roadmap looks into things as far as like your historical trends, including projections as far as where you're going. We get into what are the key metrics that matter. We don't just look at 2 or 3. We look at dozens of key metrics, right? I guess that wouldn't be key anymore, right? We look at dozens of metrics and we highlight the ones that, of course, that we believe are key metrics, which do not include ACoS or click-through rate, by the way. And what's important and what can be ignored, right? And we want to, of course, what most brands don't do is we want to help you look at your competitive landscape, exploit those weaknesses, exploit the strengths that you have against those competitors so that you can gain market share and actually get a foothold so that you are a dominant player when it comes to Q4. Right now, you only know the answer to that, right? But what I want you to be able to do is from there, what will help you do is to identify a clear endpoint for what a 6-month plan would look like as far as growth. Now, you have, of course, the option of working with a company like Canopy Management, my agency, or you can do it on your own, right? You've got a couple different options. I will say that the results will vary greatly, but it's not to say that you can't do it. It's just you've got to decide as a brand owner whether or not you should be doing this, right? Or if it's better to hand it off to somebody who clearly has a lot more experience and especially the track record above industry standard in order to succeed, right? We get paid to succeed for you, right? That's the reality of it, okay? But we're going to talk about things like control stage and expand stage and the dominate stage. We'll break all that down for you, right? It addresses a lot of the stuff: stealing back market share, increasing profitability, increasing your sales, increasing keyword velocity so that you rank higher organically, right? We'll come up with a comprehensive, personalized strategy. Yes, I do say ACoS strategy, even though I said ACoS was not the number one key metric by any stretch, right? But we will talk about, as far as like, here's what you need to do with your ads. Here's what you need to do with your listing. Here's what you need to do against your competition in order to win. Here's some of the weaknesses you can exploit. We can go into a lot of detail, okay? And we're going to share that with you. How, essentially, we're going to show that to you and tell you what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, where you're failing big. Okay. And we do each one of these custom. We don't have some big automated system. God, I wish we did. But because of the level of analysis that we do, we take great care into making sure that it's accurate and it's not just platitudes. It's not just like going generalities. That's like, well, I could have figured that on my own. We're going to show you stuff that you would not have figured out on your own. Okay. Just flat out. And there's a cost, obviously, on our side. I'm not going to pass that cost on to you. It's something we absorb. It's kind of an opportunity cost for us. But we would need your access to your account data, of course, right? It's just going to be a limited guest account. You can take it away afterwards, if you choose not to work with us, which most don't. Most don't take it away. I'm saying most choose to work with us because it makes sense. And we'll start out with an introductory call. I'm not going to list through all this kind of stuff. You can take a snapshot of it right now and see. We go into a lot of depth as far as the things that we're going to. The point is, we're not going to tell you stuff that there's going to be some stuff that you already know, but we wouldn't be doing our level of experience's job if we simply just told you what you already know. That doesn't help you. What you need to know is, how do I win? How do I double in the next 12 months? How do I get there from here? That's what you need to know. Okay. And if you're a good candidate, if you're a good fit to work with Canopy, then you'll get a chance to work with our team in order to accomplish that plan. Okay. But this is simply just saying, get the plan done. Here's a nice, big, massive, this thing's bigger than my head. My God. QR code that you can take a quick picture of. All right. So then what I would do is, use your phone, right? Take a picture of that QR code. In the results, let me know if that's not working for some reason. Can I have somebody try that and just give me a 1 in the chat if it worked for you? If it brought up essentially an application page to get an interview with our team. Again, this is not about a sales pitch that we're going to throw you. We don't do hard sales. We don't need to. We know what our superpowers are. We know whether or not we can help you. We're going to tell you what you need to do and whether or not we can help you. We're also going to say, you know what? It's a good fit. It's a not good fit. Here's a price tag. Do you want to consider the price tag? If you don't, have a good, we'll talk to you in 6 months, right? It's not that hard, right? But I want to make sure that you're at least implementing what I've taught today, that you're at least having a conversation with our team over at Canopy to get a second perspective. Is like, because frankly, you may be working with a team right now internally or an outsource or even a software. And you simply, what I hear the most is, I don't know. I don't know if that's good enough. Get a benchmark. We're giving it to you. So anyway, cool. Okay. So we got some ones there. Awesome. We'll do that, and I'll wrap it up here, and then we'll get into the drawing, because I believe we've got a name here. Cool. So what happens following that application is you're going to share some basic details about your business, right? That's going to lead you to booking a 30-minute strategy session with one of our Amazon growth experts. That's not the 30-minute session that I'm giving away, by the way. Okay. But it's going to give you a lot of great information, but I'm going to be even more detailed as far as like the Q&A that I do with you. Okay. And we'll go ahead and build out a business growth roadmap for you. And then we will present that to you so that you can learn, hey, how am I positioned in the marketplace? Okay. All right. Okay. So that's that one. All right. So let me I'm going to keep this up for just a second, and then I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to let me go ahead and get the name here. We don't have any kind of a drum roll thing, do we? Okay, I think about it. No. All right. We got the name randomly selected here. Is everybody ready? Give me one if you're ready. I know I'm teasing you with this, but I just want to make sure everybody's paying attention. So you're like, come on, man. Awesome. All right. So it actually, okay, fantastic. All right. So let me go and do this, and then I'll jump into the Q&A. So congratulations to Adam Hipkins. Okay, Adam, you're still on the call. Give me a 5 in the chat if you're still on here. Good, awesome, fantastic, congratulations. Nicole, do you mind if I give away a second one? She's like, that's your time. That's my... All right, I'm gonna do a second one then. Okay, let me know when we got that. Okay. Is that? I'm gonna butcher this name. I'm sorry. Is it David Levine or Levine? Tell me if that's correct. David, are you still on? If you're not, I'll switch. Oh, there it is. Okay. I was about to pick somebody else. Okay. Okay. So David Levine. Okay. So Adam Hipkins, David Levine, do me a favor and send to the panelists your email address so we can get that scheduled with you. All right. Let me go ahead and jump into Q&A here. I'm going to stop sharing. And that way we can bring up my my ugly mug here. But yeah, Adam and David, if you want to send us your email address, that way we can get that scheduled for you. Congratulations on that. Thank you for everybody who participated in that. And ultimately, I do want to hear if each of you have implemented some of what you've learned today. So hopefully that is the case. All right, so let me go into, where did I lose it here? Q&A, and any questions that you want to put into either the questions or into Q&A. So I'm gonna look at both of these here, and we're gonna spend about maybe 5 to 10 minutes on questions, because I know we went pretty far over here. So all right, so Mohammed. Oh, hi, Mohammed. How you doing? I haven't talked to you in a while. Good to see you on here. So your question is, do you spend on keywords according to day parting or running PPC keyword on the whole day? So day parting is an interesting animal because Amazon just recently, as you know, introduced reporting that allows us to see a little bit more insight. Now, there is still some subjective challenges with it, in that it doesn't necessarily make a direct correlation of the actual checkout, the purchase, simply just when the ad was clicked, right? When the money was spent, right? And so day parting is still, it's better because we're actually getting some additional information from Amazon, but it's still not quite there. Hopefully they'll roll that out to be more specific of the kind of a margin of error, like reducing the margin of error or adjusting the data to say, you know what, they click through and within the first hour, they actually checked out. That would be the higher value information for me. So it is something that we actually have research kind of tactical teams that we do inside of Canopy in order to test everything new that comes out. Usually we're testing things before it's even announced by Amazon, because fortunately we've got some good relationships we've built up, and that is one of the things that we've been testing over time. I haven't come out and officially announced it as far as what the results have been, because we usually like to test those for months at a time to ensure that we have a good process and we understand the data and it's not skewed. We're not simply just injecting our own opinion about it. We're actually looking to see whether or not it's helpful. At this time, I'm going to stand on what I have always stated is you can test it and see if it makes a difference in your profitability and sales and keyword ranking, and then pull it off pull away from it if it doesn't seem to work for you. In other words, I would go in there and look for outliers, those that are specifically where it seems like, wow, there's just a huge difference between my observation of what is, like all my sales come in from 6 a.m. to, 2 a.m. And yet I spend half of my budget, at 3 a.m. That to me would be a signal. It's like, maybe I should test turning off ads at 3 a.m. So it's definitely worth a test for sure. All right. So then let me grab these two here. Nicole, you may have already grabbed them, but kind of want to have some redundancy here. All right, so that's David and then Adam. Now, Adam, I will tell you is that admin emails, generic emails like that, have a high bounce rate, high spam filter rate. And so if you don't hear from us very soon, then that's probably what happened. So, oh, that'll work. Okay, cool. Oh, nice. A little backup. Very cool. All right, cool. That way we get those kind of that housekeeping out of the way there. Fantastic. All right. So then, Dustin, oh, okay. So your question, okay, such as free shipping, the title discount, or what catches them? Okay, so going back to talking about as far as those compelling benefits, free shipping, definitely not. You're not going to get away with that. Definitely not. It's got to be something about the product. It's on sale. It's, you're not saying it's like, oh, Prime Day special, free shipping, none of that, right? Because that's not speaking to what is the compelling benefit of the product. Okay. If you truly don't have any kind of a compelling benefit of the product, why on earth are you selling it? Most of the time, and I say that being a little cheeky here, but most of the time, a brand simply just doesn't acknowledge that they have a benefit of their product or a feature of their product because they didn't have somebody take a step back and look from the outside. In other words, they know it too well. It's the forest for the trees kind of analogy, right? They know their product so well that they dismiss things that they think that everybody knows or that is kind of the industry standard. To a consumer buying your product, they don't know that. Right. So if you're the only one who's pointing out an industry standard and none of your competitors are doing it because they all have made the same assumption, guess what? You look like you're the only one who has this industry standard feature or benefit. So those are some things you want to look for. I've got a couple of tactics that I've taught before on that, and that has to do with go back to your product manufacturer and ask them two questions. What's the most time-consuming step in the manufacturing process of my product? What's the most expensive step or ingredient or part or whatever of this product? And then ask them why. Why is that step time-consuming? Why is that thing the most expensive? Right? There's got to be a reason why it costs so much. How do you translate that into a feature or a benefit? Okay. That's kind of an easy way of learning something that probably no manufacturer has even been asked before. So that gives you a competitive advantage. What tool do you use for Amazon analyzing reviews? It is reviews.ai, I believe, is it? It used to be called, let me double check that one really quick. Used to be called reviewmonitoring.com, and then they changed it to, yeah, I think it's reviews.ai. It only does Amazon reviews, but it does it in bulk, and it creates word clouds, and it does sentiment analysis. It is a fantastic tool. I tried to get them to accept me as an investor, and they already had investors, but yeah, well, I'll keep trying. Brian Williams, you were asking as far as like alternatives to PPC scope. So those of you know that I had founded PPC scope, and then I had actually sold PPC scope 2 years ago, and then that was brought in house for primarily as a reporting tool. Okay, so there are 50, 60 different alternative products out on the market today. There's a lot out there, right? Some of the ones to consider for, I mean, there's a lot of different ones. I hate to make a recommendation because there's some that are like overkill, like a pack view, for instance, that just have so many features that it's it's got a huge learning curve, but they're more powerful. You have some that are pretty simplistic, rules-based, a little bit of AI, something like an AI hello or something like that. Some brands will choose to try out like Quartile, or some of the ones that market heavily, that they're AI driven, and they create thousands of campaigns for, for every keyword and everything. Those are usually a drastic hit or miss. I've heard just as many success stories as I've heard horror stories with those. And so really those are kind of like, you can test them. I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying like you can test them, but just have a plan B in mind. It kind of depends on whether or not you want to be hands off without any explanation of the decisions being made. In other words, you implicitly trust them, or you want to be hands on, creating your own rules and that kind of stuff. There's plenty of companies out there that have software. So hit me up later on, and I can kind of go into that in a little bit more detail as far as some of the pros and cons of those. Well, I'm going to butcher your name with the, is it Mustashan? Gosh, I hope I'm not butchering that. I usually try to Google these to try to get it right, but I'm taking it. Let me know if I was completely even close on that one. Can we get multiple ad placements if we target count and color variations in separate campaigns? No, separate campaigns does not split the visibility unless they are, no, they just don't. We try to, trust me. I wish there was another way around it, but Amazon's only separation appears to be whether it is a separate parent. They don't like to show ads for the same variations, even if you separate them into completely different campaigns. Now, you can, if you've got a sponsored brand that's showing, sponsored brand ad that's showing one variation, and then you've got a sponsored product ad that is showing a different variation, a sponsored display ad that's showing a third variation. Yes, then, because those are 3 different ad types, but you're not going to get multiple ad placements or multiple organic placements on the same page for the same type of real estate. You're not going to get multiple instances unless you've got them separated. Gotta keep them separated. Ali says ideal PPC structure. Well, that's like, how do you build the Titanic? Well, we have a number of resources. In fact, if you actually go out to canopymanagement.com, go to our blog section, we have a number of articles that talk about recommended basic PPC structures. These are things that I have, of course, in my Facebook group, my YouTube channel, all that kind of stuff. But I would start probably on canopymanagement.com. We've got some phenomenal blog articles up there that you should definitely check out, because they cover all kinds of scenarios when it comes to advertising and marketing on Amazon. Cool. All right. Okay. So you can call me Mac. Okay. Okay, good. Well, all right. So I may have butchered your name, but yeah, I appreciate it. So thanks for correcting me. I'll call you Mac. Right. All right. So let me jump back over. Let me answer 2 more questions, and then we're going to cut out here. Nicole, I appreciate you sticking with me during this time. I've got the two emails for both David and Adam, so we should be able to get those set up. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I didn't get Adam's second one. How did I do that? Now I've got it. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I've got them both in case you didn't. Let's see, Zach. Zack, Zack, Zack. All right. Ooh, got a paragraph. Hold on. For sponsored brand video ads, you create multiple video creatives ad campaigns for the same product that is tailored towards specific keywords. So we do. Yes, it is a lot more work. It's not simply just like, oh, I'm just going to create one. We literally have a cadence where every single week, in some cases where we see where a brand ad or a brand video ad is where we want to set up different targeting, and we want to have that kind of breakdown, that more detailed breakdown. We will separate those where we have custom creative, where we have custom titles, images, that kind of stuff. We will break it down based off of different target search terms or different audiences that we're going after. And usually what that means is we're not simply just batching, we're creating 100, in one shot. Usually we have a cadence where like, okay, we're creating 1 or 2 new ones each week. And that just continues to build over time and it gives us a chance to test them over time. So that way it's kind of a rolling, it's a snowball that's going down the hill and it's gaining size, right? Yeah, so I think that probably offers, because you want to, again, I would definitely say you could target based off of search terms, and you can also, I would highly recommend that you also do custom creative based off of the key benefits. Let's say you've got 3 key benefits, have 3 different custom creatives set up so that you're addressing right up front that main, benefit number 1 over here, benefit number 2, benefit number 3. Right. So definitely try to drive with benefits as your first approach, and then target search terms as your second approach. I like your examples. Yes, that's, yeah. And if you can go so far as to create different videos that specify those, hopefully you've got some kind of automated system or some kind of process with VAs that you can crank those out a lot faster. Smaller organizations, that usually seems a bit overwhelming to have a separate video for each audience, for each search term, that kind of stuff, but it certainly is feasible. Yes. Daniel, reached out to ad support. They're telling me to reach out to you. Okay, I don't know what, I'm not sure if that's actually a question that's related to this. That seems, it seems kind of an odd example. So you've already messaged this separate question to me, Daniel, or yeah, that seems odd. No worries. What's your overall assessment of month over month? Okay. So what's your overall assessment of month over month CPCs on Amazon year to date? They're definitely increasing. Again, to what I was saying before is sellers are reacting to, they think that their only lever to pull is to simply just increase and be more aggressive on advertising. And it's not. I teach 5 different levers. Advertising is only one of them. Right. And so there's a lot of other things that you can be done in order to drive up conversion rates, drive up sales, drive up visibility and traffic. And so unfortunately, the lazy and inexperienced, I'll combine those, into one here. Lazy and inexperienced sellers will often simply just increase their ad spend, and therefore they'll drive up their bids, thinking that that's going to recover or gain them sales, but they don't know how to optimize it properly. They're not taking into consideration what their competition is doing. And so the average CPCs are driving up. And then sure enough, they come back and they complain that it's like, oh, it's getting too expensive. Well, it's because you caused it to be too expensive in your niche. Okay, I guess that covers it. That was the last one. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate your time today, and congratulations to David and Adam as far as winning those two 30-minute sessions with me. I look forward to the conversation. Thank you once again for joining me today. Have a fantastic rest of your week.